This is the newly released Ford Capri. In this video I will test range and consumption, cabin noise test and also the charging. Welcome to It's Only Electric. Let's start with the basics. This is a mid-size coupe SUV, measuring just over 4.6 meters in length with a wheelbase of 2.8 meters. It weighs 2.2 tons. This specific car is a long-range all-wheel drive premium version, which means it has two motors, one smaller one at the front and one larger at the back. Combined output is 250 kilowatts or 340 horsepower. It should be able to do 0 to 100 in 5.3 seconds with a top speed of 180 kilometers per hour. Built on the Volkswagen MEB platform, it shares a lot of parts with the ID5, ID4, Skoda Enyaq and also the Audi Q4. It is a 400 volt system. It should be able to charge from 10 to 80% in 26 minutes with a top speed of 185 kilowatts. We will see about that later in this video. It has an 84 kilowatt hour battery with a net capacity of 79 kilowatts. Its stated VLTP are 560 kilometers. It drives on 20-inch wheels, Goodyear Ultra Grip Performance Plus. That's studless winter tires. 255/45 at the back and 235/50 at the front. Let's drive. It's time for the range and consumption test. We always drive the same fixed route, that's 80 kilometers. It's varied speeds between 50 up to 110 kilometers per hour. We have a couple of set rules. The first one is we always stick to the speed limits. The second one is we put the car in eco mode if available. And the third one is we put the AC to eco and 20 degrees. No seat heating, no steering wheel heating, just basic 20 degrees eco. In this car it also put the passenger side on eco or off. I've been driving for just over 28 kilometers now, and the average consumption is 19.2 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. Fairly normal in these conditions. It's 20-inch wheels, it's -1 degrees outside, pretty dry roads, but it's cold and no sun, so nothing to heat up the cabin. And we have just passed the 110 kilometer stretch. So it seems to be pretty decent range for these weather conditions. I will add some thoughts and personal opinions to this range and consumption test. To start with, this is the Ford Capri Premium all-wheel drive. The premium package includes 20-inch wheels instead of the 19-inch ones. You also get matrix headlights. On top of that you get some interior upgrades. You have the full faux leather seats instead of the half faux leather. You also get the ambient lighting that actually looks really good. And it also includes the Bang & Olufsen sound system. I wouldn't call this a premium sound system. If I was Bang & Olufsen, I wouldn't put my logo on these speakers. They are decent. This should be the standard sound system, not a premium one, especially not the Bang & Olufsen one. I've just passed the 40 kilometers mark and we're averaging 18.2 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. As I said before, I think this is pretty standard. I don't know yet. The weather is -1.5 degrees right now, and we will see. But it's pretty interesting. This car has a higher VLTP range than the ID5 GTX, but it's basically the same car. I don't know if it is the aerodynamics or something else, but let's see. And to the obligatory turning off the speed limit warning system that's mandatory in the European Union from cars produced 2024 and later. And in this car it's not that annoying sound, so sometimes I don't turn it off. But yesterday I was driving and it was 70 roads and 80 roads and the car misread the speed limits all the time. So it said it was 50 or 60 a couple of times. It was beeping all the time. So in the Ford Capri it's a little bit harder to turn off the speed limit warning system. But when you go to home screen you have these icons on top. You have a car. And here I have added a fast button to driver assistance systems. So you just press that. And here you have, pretty easy, here you have all the systems. But the only one that annoys me are the speed limit warning system and you just swipe the activate button or press the activate button and it deactivates. So it's pretty easy when you have added it to your favorites, but otherwise you need to go to the app screen and then you need to press driver assistance, and then you have it right here, same screen again. When it comes to this infotainment system, the screen is vertical, it's pretty big. I don't like the vertical layout because when you put it in reverse you have the 360 camera, but it's really small, so you cannot see a lot of it. So in those situations I don't like it at all. When you use Android Auto, you have the maps on top and the music in the bottom, and that's actually pretty decent. But overall, when you're in the menus and things, it's hard to reach. And on top of that, it's pretty laggy. If you compare it to the Capri Born I was driving a couple of days ago, this is a much slower system. I don't know what Ford has done. It should be the same, just the skin on it, but still, it's not as fast, it's not as responsive, and it doesn't look as good as the ID series or even the Capri. The main screen on the infotainment system, the first one is the maps, and then you have your music, your state of charge, and also your phone. And on top you have a couple of icons for your phone, your driving modes, also car systems like car settings, basic things, and shortcuts. Otherwise you have a shortcut to Android Auto or Apple CarPlay and some other basic things. And then you have the second screen, which is the same as the Capri had, and here you have your vehicle status, your current consumption. You can also toggle between long-term consumption and from the start. You also see state of charge and also put the charge limit right here. And then you have the app screen, which is this 6 dots on top left corner, and here you have more apps, so telephone, radio, media, navigation, vehicle, and all the settings. And you also have a second screen here, and sometimes it doesn't want to respond when I'm swiping. As I said, it's a little bit slow and it's laggy sometimes, so it's not my favorite system. The Capri Born is better, and I would say the new ID series is also better than this one. This Ford Capri is equipped with all the safety and driver assistance function there is. So it has cruise control, lane keep assist, and also lane changing assistance. And it works the same as all the other ones. You have the controls on the steering wheel. On the left side you have the set, you have the reset, you have the plus and minus for the speed adjustments, and also the distance it keeps between the cars. And it works pretty good, as I said. I don't like these touch buttons, but it is what it is. It holds the lines okay. It's ping pongs a little bit. Sometimes it doesn't see the lines and then it tries to do something crazy, but that's the same for all the cars in general. So it's pretty decent. It's not the best system, but it works. The Kia is better. Many of the Chinese cars are better, but still it works, and I will use it when I have it. Overall, this car is pretty comfortable. The suspension is soft, but not too soft. It's not too swayy. It's a little bit, I wouldn't call it sporty, but neutral probably. It feels good in high speeds. It doesn't wobble too much, it doesn't move too much, but still pretty silent and comfortable, no strange sounds. It's time to summarize the range and consumption test. The final result was 19.0 kWh per 100 kilometers, which is 416 kilometers of real world range. This equates to 74% of the stated 560 kilometers of VLTP, which is actually pretty decent considering it was -1 to -2 degrees outside, damp roads, foggy, cloudy, so no sun to speak of. This also drives on 20-inch wheels, 255s at the back, 235s at the front. If you would have 19-inch wheels, a couple of degrees warmer, dry roads, you will easily make 450-460 kilometers with this car. But because of these wheels and these conditions, this is still pretty decent. If you want to know more about the Ford Capri, watch the full review that my brother does. It should be here or here. I don't know which one yet, we will see. But please watch that one to get a more in-depth review of the car. Let's move on to the cabin noise test. We always measure the cabin noise on the same road, same stretch. We put the microphone in head height on the passenger side and we measure at 50, 70, 90 and 110 kilometers per hour. This car is quieter than I thought it would be. It's one of the better ones in its class. There is some wind noise at higher speeds from the B or C pillar. I couldn't pick it up with the microphone. But still, this is one of the more quiet cars in its class. It's quieter than the Nissan Ariya, but it's more noisy than the premium electric cars or premium SUVs like the Audi Q6, Neo EL7 and so on, but that's expected considering the prices. Suspension is quiet, the car overall is quiet. It's only the wind noise from the B or C pillar that I feel sometimes in higher speeds that you can hear, especially on the driver's side. To the last topic, and this is charging. This is where the MEB platform has evolved and improved the most. This car states it can charge from 10 to 80% in 26 minutes with a top speed of 185 kilowatts. I preheated the battery with a built-in system. It took 50 minutes and it said the top speed will be 174 kilowatts. But I plugged the car in, I charged it from 10 to 80% and it took 26 minutes and 12 seconds with a top speed of 188 kilowatts. And the most impressive thing is the flat charging curve. Even at 40% it's charging 170 kilowatts and up to 80% it's still at 85 kilowatts. And this was the biggest weakness of the MEB platform in my opinion, because you couldn't preheat the battery and it took forever to charge it in cold weathers. So you could have been waiting for 40 or 45 minutes to charge your car from 10 to 80%. But with this preheating system and the faster charging curve, it's actually pretty good now. It's better than a lot of Teslas. It's not as fast as premium German cars or even the Chinese cars. Let me summarize this car, my expectations and my feelings of it. It's getting late or it's getting dark because it's only 4 o'clock here in Sweden, but it's winter. But is this a Ford? No, it isn't. Does this hold up to the Ford standards I expect? No, it doesn't. Is this car a lot of plastic? Yes, it is. I expected more from Ford electric cars in general, or like a more coherent experience. Is this a good car? Yes, it is. It has good luggage capacity, it has good interior space, it is quiet, it's comfortable and it has decent performance. So overall it's a good car, but for me it's not a Ford, and that's the problem. Especially for the price. This car as specified is 720,000 Swedish crowns, which is 62,000 euros, which is a lot for this car. It starts at 45,000 euros, so 550,000 crowns. But still, I expect more than these types of plastics and this fit and finish of the car in these price ranges. And as I said, this is a Volkswagen, this is a MEB platform, and it's still a good car. You have the upgraded motor at the back with more torque, more efficiency, decent performance. You have the bigger 79 kilowatt hour battery that you can preheat. You also have better charging curves. So it's a good package. I don't understand why Volkswagen sold this platform or leasing it out to Ford, because this is cannibalizing their own sales, if you ask me. I would prefer this Ford, at least design wise, over an ID.5 or ID.4, both exterior and interior. This looks better if you ask me. And this sound system is the premium one, Bang Olufsen one. This should be the base one. This is not impressive at all. It's a decent sound system as a base system. When you crank up the volume, you can't even play that loud. You get shakiness in the door, you hear and feel the plastics moving. So I don't understand how Bang Olufsen can put their name on this sound, because I don't like the vertical screen. I don't like the design of it. I think the regular ID cars has better design and better horizontal layout. Even the Cupra has better layouts. Screen in such is not that responsive. There's some lags sometime, and It works. It takes a little bit longer time to get used to it. You have all the functions and it's pretty easy, as I said, to use when you have learned it. You have the small screen from the Volkswagen lineup. It's also pretty decent. It's small, but you have all the information. And you have the Volkswagen head-up display. That's great. Overall, it's a good package. You have good interior volume and you have a good space at the back. Would I choose this car? I wouldn't, even though it's a good car. I think it costs too much if you compare to the build quality especially. But it's still a fun car to drive and it's a good car. I can still recommend it if you want something different and you don't want a Tesla and you don't like the ID cars. This one is the better options. It looks better. It's a Ford. It doesn't look like anything else on the road. You have good performance, 5.3 seconds, 0 to 100, decent range, good charging curve. Overall, it's a good package, but not for me. What do you think about the Ford Capri? What do you think of Ford's electrification overall? Or do you even think maybe Volkswagen did bad to lending out this platform and maybe cannibalizing their own sales? Which one would you prefer? Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like the video and comment down below. And as we always say, stay electric.